This is a place where the infinite is possible, and this is a tool to remind you of that which you have forgotten. Please listen with an open heart. Know that you are perfectly welcome and deeply loved just as you are. That's where it all begins. This is the BeeSea podcast. Hi. Hey. I know it's been a while since I have posted anything. I have been through a lot and I want to start talking about it. Not really sure how it's going to go. I haven't written anything down. I'm just going to ramble, I think. But I just wanted to hope and wish that you are all well wherever you are, and if you're not, kind of just be in solidarity with you, because shit has been fucking hitting the fan this year for everyone, basically, in all kinds of ways. And yeah, so we're here. We're kind of doing it. We're kind of just rolling with the punches, copping it. Some of us are beginning to see the light at the end of the tunnel. Some of us are preparing for worse storms. Speaking of storms, it's raining here at the moment, and I'm away at work, and of course I did not bring my audio gear because I did not think I would be inspired or have the time to do any podcasting. But I am doing it today because I had this epic dream last night. For me, it was epic. I don't know if it will be as epic for you, but I'm going to tell you anyway. And it really got me thinking today at work, so I felt like I needed to share it. And I want to do this more, but life happens and all my plans go to shit generally. I think I've had a lot of lessons about letting go of control because it's not even real. It used to be in my brain. It used to be real. Anyway, so the dream I had. So I was in this future world and I could see, somehow I discovered that I had a black dot on the inside of the roof of my mouth, and it was cancer. And in this future world, you could actually go to a place, sign some papers, and then kill yourself, but kind of like a humane death. And so it's almost like you were giving your spirit to other beings. So there was this weird animal that was kind of conjoined with another animal, and I was meant to give my spirit to that animal, so then it might separate. I don't know. But as I was in the room signing the papers, there was this woman there, and I'm not sure if she just lost her son or her son was about to do the same thing, but she gave me some CBD honey to eat for my cancer that was in my mouth. And I ate it, and in my dream I felt my whole body just relax, and just all the stress just went away. And as I was walking towards my death, I had this like input of like epiphanies, wisdom, and it was like, you don't have to do what everyone else does. You can decide not to kill yourself and just see how long you're going to live. Because you don't know. You don't know how long you've got. And to me, it wasn't literally about killing myself. It was about following what everyone else does or doing things the way they've always been done. And it kind of ties in with the fact in my real life, I've been leaving my mobile phone in my room while I'm at work. And then when I'm at home in the city, I'm leaving it at home as well when I go out for my day. I'm not as good doing that one, but I'm getting there. And for me, I had like these epiphanies of, when was the last original thought that I had? You know, how much of my ideas and my opinions are shaped by the movies I'm watching, the other people's opinions on social media, the news, anything I'm consuming, how much of that is affecting my own individuality. And I couldn't remember the last time I had an original thought. And so I feel like that dream was a little bit part of that. And it was a pretty cool concept. And so I started thinking while I was at work today, because I woke up thinking I had cancer. And, you know, it's, I don't really want to say, because of the like energy and jinxing and whatever. But I've always thought as a kid that I'm going to end up with it. So I don't know, it's just really interesting. But I was thinking, what if I did have cancer? What if how would I feel? What would I think? What would I do differently? What would I regret? And so I was just thinking about, like, I wouldn't be doing this job. And I would be doing more with music and film, and I realized I have been holding myself back with fear of sharing who I am. And then on that path of learning about fear, it intertwines with trauma for me, because trauma, when that's present, when you're experiencing the side effects of trauma, it's like you can't rush what you share when you share either. So if you share too much with someone who doesn't know how to listen or doesn't understand how hard that is for you, it does more damage. So, I was thinking about that today, and I felt scared when I was thinking about sharing my story, and it's something I really want to do, but I am really terrified. But if I was dying, it's like I would give less of a shit. And then I was asking myself, well, why do I care so much? We are dying. We're all dying. So why am I so scared? What am I afraid of? And, I haven't got an answer to that yet, but I know I want to tell my story in the right way for me, in a way that benefits others, in a way that there's healing at the end, or there's really amazing lessons. But at the same time, fuck, life is fucking messy, and it might not end that way for me. I might not get healing. I might not get any more epiphanies. I'm sure I will, because I get them all the time. But, what if I don't? It's like, it comes back to that control thing. I want to control the narrative of my story. But it's just fucking messy. And it's hard enough for me to try to make sense of any of it, let alone telling the story in a way that makes sense, because none of it makes sense in a lot of ways. But, yeah, so Trippy Dream really, really helped me in what I want for the podcast, and I started thinking about, the last time I tried to have a guest on, I was just really out of whack. And so it didn't happen, which was disappointing for me, but luckily my guest was so gracious and lovely and was just totally, totally fine. And I was thinking about all these other podcasts that are coming up. So I'm going to post this and then slowly trickle out the other ones that I've already recorded. And for me, I can see my decline right before I took a big break. And I can hear it in my voice. But the guests that I have on were also amazing. So I feel like it's a bit of a disservice if I don't share them. And to someone who might not hear this, they might not think anything is on the decline for me personally. And it's a way up between not wanting to be judged and wanting approval versus actually wanting to put out good content, useful content, not just shit when I'm not my best. So, I mean, I try to look at this thing as practice, because I'm learning. Like, I'm not a fucking guest speaker or, public speaker. I want to be eventually. I'd love to hone that skill, but holy shit, that's a big skill. I really admire people who can just be themselves in front of strangers on a stage with everybody looking at you. But yeah, and I really want to be able to bring my humor back and show more of who I am. And okay, get this. I've discovered the older I'm getting, the more socially awkward I'm getting. I don't understand that unless it's just all linked to fear. But I was thinking about that today as well. It's like, holy shit, I am so fucking awkward in groups. I'm much better one-on-one. I find it really hard to get my thoughts out. And I know when I started this podcast, a few people were slightly irritated with how slow I talk, but it's because my brain functions slow. And I have to really think about what I'm trying to say as I'm saying it. It doesn't come naturally for me to just rattle off a coherent sentence. A lot of the time I just expect people to be mind readers and be in my mind with me. So, yeah, I'm trying to learn this skill. But I also like to take my time and find the right word. But anyway, can't help where I'm at or where you're at. So, yeah. Anyway, okay. So, shall we? I feel like I'm on a roll. trying to be honest and vulnerable and just have this little rant. The reasons, multiple reasons why I haven't posted anything, and by the way, thank you so much for still listening, even though I haven't put anything out for, is it maybe a year? Like a proper guest podcast interview conversation thing. I think it's almost been a year, and there hasn't been 1 week where people aren't listening, which just boggles the mind. And I'm really, that, like, another thing, it scares me if this is gonna grow really fast. And I don't know. Anyway, let's move on. Okay, so multiple reasons why I took some time away. Having a major meltdown. Major. It went on for, I don't know, about a year and a half or 2 years or something like that. Pretty much as soon as I started the podcast, I cracked open the can of worms the month after I started recording, which was 2017 December, and 2018, it was 2 years. I've only just kind of come out of that, and it was like I went and found this energy worker. Turned out she was also a psychologist, and I've mentioned her on the podcast a few times. Excuse me. And I said I'm ready to heal my biggest wound, or wounds, and she was like, "What are they?" And it's almost like, be careful what you wish for, but apparently I was ready, which I might have been, but I'm definitely not doing that shit again. I said I want to heal my childhood sexual abuse and all the trauma that went with it. So, yeah, it was insane, to say the least. And turns out I was experiencing complex PTSD symptoms. I suppose that's the word, I'm not sure. But it was like visceral flashbacks where you feel the memory before you know it's a memory. It's really freaky. Normal flashbacks, panic attacks, anxiety attacks, feeling unsafe everywhere, with men, with women, and surprisingly there was a time where I could only be around men, which I didn't quite understand. But I guess those were the ones that made me feel safe. And yeah, there was months where I couldn't work, the months where I had to work, but I was just grief crying, hysterical, all day, every day, could barely see out of my eyes. I don't even know how I safely worked. It was very bad. A lot of my friends dropped off because I think they just didn't know how to handle me or what to do. And that was really hard. Because I don't have that much family. Or I didn't then. And so my friends have always been my family. Yeah, so that was hard. It still is hard. Yeah. And then, so that kind of wrapped up my 2019. And I was like, that was the hardest year of my life. And I came very close to my absolute limit. And so yeah, when 2020 rolled around, I was like, this is fucking easy for me because I just went through 2 years of hell. Painful, painful hell. And to be honest, I really loved the chaos when everything started hitting the fan because it was all like, to me, it was exciting, and I'm a bit of a doomsday prepper lover and a bit of a cynical person, and I love to see the world burn in a way, as bad as that sounds. But, I also love to see the beautiful, kind hearted souls that make the world what it is. But I'm definitely like an angry teen always inside. While I do all of my spiritual practices and spiritual work, I'm always a skeptic. I'm always questioning myself, questioning other people. And I suppose it probably all links back to my trauma. It's kind of the fucking bottom line for most things. You ever get sick of hearing people say, oh, it's probably something in your childhood that makes you this way? But it's true. So yeah, that's one of the reasons. And then I was just getting ready to crank things back up with the podcast. So I was getting people from my community to send in recordings of some words of hope for the situation that we found ourselves in 2020. And so I was gathering that in February, March, and I was about to put it together in April. The day before, so I planned to do it on my shift change. The day before that, my mum died. And that was really different. So I'd been preparing because I had a feeling it was going to happen soon. So I'd been preparing for the last 2 years. I moved houses so I could have a bigger space because the agreement was that I would look after our youngest sister, who was 12, and she's 13 now. And so yeah, I'd prepared somewhat, and now that's the situation. So when I'm home, I'm looking after a 13-year-old, and then when I'm away, our 21-year-old sister is looking after her, which it's not ideal, and the end plan is for me to have the 13-year-old full time and leave my job. Just not sure when I can financially do that. So I'm working really hard to get my home business up and running, flowing better, and I'm getting way more clients than I have had. So that's a good sign. And yeah, it's fucking layered. Um, you know, when my mum died, I had this feeling of joy. I haven't felt joy in a very long time. It was a big relief. We had a very complicated relationship, and it's actually brought me and my siblings closer, surprisingly. Not all of them, but some of them. The sisters, especially. Excuse me, I'm burping. Um, so, yeah, it's just tricky. We're all in therapy because you fucking need to be. I was in therapy before this as well, and it's helped so much. Highly recommend. In Perth, Australia, at least, if you go to your general practitioner doctor, ask for a mental health care plan, you do a little survey, and you tell them which psychologist you want to see. They send off the paperwork, and you get 20 discounted sessions. And for me, it's equaling about almost 50% off, I think. Almost. Because they're freaking expensive. But they're well worth it. The government just bumped them up. There were 10 sessions a year, now they're 20. So it's fucking great. So yeah, I'm not really ready to talk more in depth about the mum situation. But maybe later. Yeah, that's another podcast, and I need to make sure that I'm ready to talk about that because it's also very heavy. And each of my siblings has had a totally different relationship with her than I did. And actually, I will say this, a beautiful friend of mine said something quite profound to me the other night. She said, you know, your experience with your mother would be entirely different because there's a huge gap with your other siblings. So one of my brothers is 7 years, I'm 7 years older. My sister, I'm 10 years older, and then my other sister, I'm 18 years older. So there's a huge gap. So they've all had totally different relationships with her than I did, and I was the firstborn, and there's another one 2 years younger than me. So we had similar stuff, but they had totally different experiences. So yeah, it's just really interesting, like hearing them and the way they speak about her versus the way I feel and speak about her. It's very, very different. And I've just kind of sat back with an open mind and tried to really understand their perspective and how they see things. Yeah, it's taught me a lot. And trying to just look at my memories from an adult point of view rather than a child. To be honest, I don't really change that much, but I do understand it a little bit more. Sometimes it makes things worse. But yeah, it's just a bit of a process to figure shit out. So yeah, I've just been keeping my head above the water, basically. Like my health suffered from all of that trauma coming up. I ran to food, so I've gained about 40 kilos. which is huge, by the way. And I mean, why did I even say that? Of course, it's huge. So I kind of have tried to stop beating myself up about that and just kind of take it as, that was one way of coping and that's what I did. And my energy levels, my iron levels were low, my energy was low. I'm just starting to get some energy back now. And, a few more health scares, and I still need a few more tests, but we'll see. And then we'll deal with whatever comes up whenever it comes up, So yeah, there's a bit to clean up and still go through, still understand, process, fuck, it just never ends. But I don't know if I'm wiser, but I'm definitely more worldly adapted. I don't know. I've just had a new experience, a bunch of new experiences. I don't know how to essentially be a parent to my sister. I'm just fucking figuring that out on the fly. A freaking teen who's got all the hormones flying around and trying to figure out where they are in the world, and then she's just lost her mum, never had a dad. It's just, whew, it's a lot. And then somehow my home business is just kicking off and we're doing it and it's great. But yeah, I definitely am realizing I need to really slow down. And that's part of why I'm staying away from my phone, trying to be more productive and just detox from shit, basically. Yeah, I think I'm done for now. This is a big share for me, so please be kind. And I hope that something in there helped you. You just got to keep going and try to figure out a way that you can cope no matter what you're dealing with, that you can cope, that you can function, that you give yourself space to feel your fucking feelings because they're fucking heavy sometimes. And choosing yourself is a big thing. If you just cannot go into work, you just need that day to do whatever it is you need to do, whether it's just disassociating and watching Netflix or stuffing your face with food to get that dopamine hit or feel nourished. Those are things I did. Whatever it is that you need to do, you just allow yourself to do it. You'll shake it off eventually. I feel like I'm doing that now. And yeah, I mean, this is why I'm recording this, because I do feel like I am in a better place. It's not a great place. We've still got loads and loads of family fucking drama that's unfolding. There was a standoff the other night. Yeah, I'll get into that maybe another time. But also, it might not be my business to tell on here. I don't know. I'm still working that shit out. What am I allowed to say? what's appropriate to say, what's not appropriate to say. All my moral compass and my version of reality has been warped by my trauma. So it takes me a long time to work out what common sense is, because I don't really have it. I don't know how I've survived, but I have, and you are as well, and you will continue until the day comes when it's not in your control and it's time to move on. So yeah, hopefully this doesn't sound as depressing as I'm starting to feel. But yeah, so just keep going. Keep going. The best advice I ever got was like when your world is falling apart and shit is just flying your way. Just remember to put one foot in front of the other and lean forward. You gotta get that lean in. That's your momentum. And then what really helped me was like rocking back and forward in the corner saying, this too shall pass, this too shall pass. It's not always going to be like this. It's going to change. So, I love you guys. Even though I don't know you, I do. I can feel something. I think it's love. It's a really strong like, if it's not love. So yeah, stay tuned. If you want to learn more, I'm gonna try and just share more, because it's a process of me finding myself again as well. Because I've fucking lost her, or I've buried her, or I'm creating her. I'm not sure, but maybe we can do it together. You know, maybe we can be energetic, growing community, friends, soul fam, all that jazz. Alright, I'm gonna stop waffling at the end here. Definitely got more to say, just have to get some coherent thoughts together for you guys. And there will be more podcasts getting uploaded. I'm just not gonna say when, because I don't fucking know. Shit changes all the time. Alright. Love you. Bye. Oh, by the way, quick little end note. I wanted to include one of the recordings that Aisha sent in for those podcasts that I was planning to put together. I might just sprinkle them at the end of some other podcasts, or maybe I'll do a big mashup. Who knows really, but this one really hit me, and I hope that it does something for you as well. The intro to this podcast was done by Tran Exista, and you can help support the podcast on Patreon if you like. There will be links to where you can do all that in the show notes. You can find me at beeseapod.com. That's BeeSeapod.com. Aisha is many, many things. I know her to be someone who can hold super powerful energy through her vessel, and she is a guide. She's able to see things that you're not quite aware of, and she will just kind of guide you to discover them. And yeah, she does energy work with people and one-on-one sessions, group sessions. Pretty much whatever you need, you can just ask if she will be able to help, and it's more than likely she can. So I'll link all the ways you can get in touch with Aisha as well. And here are some of her lovely words for us. Thank you, Aisha.
Firstly, thank you so much, Beck, for putting this together, for your time and your efforts, and sharing these beautiful messages for the community. And thank you so much for asking me to be a part of it as well. When I feel into what's happening in the world right now, I can't help but see it from a space of wonder. Like the heavens are asking us to be still right now. And I feel in order for us to remain healthy in all facets through this time, it's really important that we choose the lens from in which we see and perceive what's happening in the world right now. And when I see it from the seat of the heavens, I see a clear image in my mind's eye that just as when we physically die, when our soul transcends our body and we experience a review, our life flashes before our eyes, as we've heard a lot of people say who've had near-death experiences, that at the same time, when the gates of the heavens open, when our soul chooses to incarnate, to be born into this reality, into this experience of planet Earth, that we also experience a review. And at some level, our soul knew that we would be here at this time on planet Earth during this great pause. And for the first time, a lot of people are thinking in completely different ways. For example, for the first time, we're having to think about how our elders live, and what do they need during this time? How can we help them? And for some, that thought hasn't crossed our minds ever, because we haven't had the time and the space to think of others. And in this time and space, we're being asked to look within ourselves as to why we've been given life. What is our unique gift and talent? How can we help? How can we serve? Why am I here? Who am I? These poignant questions that a lot of time we don't have the time or space to truly ask ourselves, because we are surrounded by busyness. And so now we have the time and space to go in, and we have the time and space to create. We have the time and space to truly pray for others. We have the time and space to heal, to go in and heal those parts of ourselves that we haven't given the time or space. Because the world won't be the same, and neither will we. But we can choose how we use this time, how we choose to see it through the seat of the heavens.